Of course it's bitter. It's coffee. But the real question is, what kind of bitterness are you tasting? Because not all the bitterness is the same. Some makes the cup deeper, more complete. Other times, it's overpowering, unpleasant, just bad. And when you can't tell the difference, every cup starts to feel like a problem. You try different beans, a new brewer, adjust grind, brew hotter, brew colder, add milk. Nothing works. The bitterness is still there, and the coffee still doesn't taste right. So in this video, we'll sort out what kind of bitterness you're tasting and how to taste it right. Bitterness throws a lot of people off, even careful brewers. I'm a second-generation coffee roaster from Japan, and I've seen how easily it turns a good cup into a frustrating one. Here's the problem. Most people think bitterness means something wrong with the coffee. If you are a casual coffee drinker, you've probably tried adding sugar, cream, syrups, thinking it would get rid of the bitterness. Did it work? I bet you still tasted it. Beginner coffee lovers, almost all of you do the same thing. You blame the beans, which isn't wrong. You ditch dark roast and run to the lighter ones, hoping to escape the bitterness. Intermediate folks go a step further. You swap beans, then try different water. Still bitter. Advanced brewers, you're dialing everything. Temperature, ratio, grind. Still bitter. You keep trying different things, but the bitterness still won't go away. And I'll go deeper into this bitterness in coffee in just a moment and how you can work with it. But here's the truth. Bitterness is supposed to be there. There's probably nothing wrong with your coffee. Not all bitterness is bad, and not all of it needs to be fixed. Some bitterness is what gives coffee its structure, a thing that makes it feel complete. But no one ever teaches you how to taste that kind of bitterness. So why don't we start by understanding the difference between good bitterness and bad? Bitterness isn't just one thing. There's good bitterness and bad bitterness. Good bitterness gives structure and depth. It supports the other flavors, not hide them. It doesn't linger or scratch. In fact, it feels round, even clean. Bad bitterness takes over the cup. It buries everything else. It's not about strength. It's about quality. Burnt edges, unpleasant smokiness, that sharp, astringent finish. That's the kind you don't want. And no, those two don't show up in the same coffee. If the bitterness is bad, the coffee is probably off, and most of the time, it starts with the roast. Most of the flavor is decided during roasting. If that goes wrong, there's only so much you can do. But experienced brewers can sometimes work with it, reduce the edge, balance it better. Same goes for great coffee too. A bad brew can dull what could be a beautiful cup. And in the end, it's your palate that decides what's good or bad. But you can't make that call until you know what you're tasting. Most people don't realize coffee has 3 core flavors: acidity, sweetness, and bitterness. These flavors develop during roasting. I go deeper in this in another video. I'll leave the link here and in the description below if you'd like to learn more. It's how these 3 balance that creates the unique taste of your coffee. Then, how you brew it can either enhance that balance or ruin it. The idea that coffee flavor isn't just given to you is no secret to more advanced coffee folks. And many of them jump into adjusting their brews, but often fails to get the outcome because they're trying to fix something without looking at the entire balance. So when you are fighting bitterness, don't just react. Learn to shape it. I'll break down how to define bitterness in your cup. And that's where the fix starts. When bitterness hits too hard, it drowns out everything else. And the same thing can happen with acidity. It can throw a whole cup off. If you've ever had coffee that tastes sour, that's a different kind of balance problem. And I made a separate video all about that. I'll link it here and in the description below. So, the real question isn't just, is it bitter? It's, how's the balance? And is the bitterness supporting the flavor or killing it? Here's my suggestion if you want to fix your bitter coffee. First, start tasting coffee for what it is. Train your palate. Taste more coffees. Pay attention to how bitterness shows up in each one. Does it linger? Does it hollow out the cup? Or does it create the structure, holding everything together? You need to be able to isolate good bitterness from bad. Good bitterness isn't always obvious, especially if you're not tasting the full balance of your cup. Bad bitterness is easier to spot. If you don't like it, it's probably not the good kind for your palate. Then comes the easiest fix. Just replace the beans. Trying to mask bitterness with sugar or cream usually ends up dulling everything. Not just bitterness, but also sweetness and acidity too. If you want to buy better beans, start with ones that highlight sweetness in flavor notes, like chocolate, caramel, honey. And if you can't, go to a local roaster and ask questions. Most will help you find something that works for your taste. And if you do taste potential in your beans, if you catch some good flavors underneath that bitterness, then you can start adjusting your brew. Hard water tends to exaggerate bitterness. Soft water might help. Faster extraction can sometimes reduce bitterness too. If you want to learn how to control your pour-over like a pro, check out my How to Do Japanese Pour-Over course. Bitterness doesn't have to be the enemy. It's one of the coffee's core flavors. And when it's right, it gives your cup its backbone. The real challenge is learning how to taste it well and knowing when it's the wrong kind. If you found this helpful, hit like. It tells me what kind of video can help you more. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful coffee day.